Samhain, Ia Howla. I don't really want to talk about ghouls or spirits or bonfires or trick-or-treating, although I suppose we ought to acknowledge here that Samhain, or Halloween, was definitely the quarter-day festival marking the start of winter, when the harvest is all in and the foliage dies back, animal life dwindles, and harsh frosts and withering winds begin to bite. But what I really want to touch on is the idea of thresholds. Our ancestors consciously built into the year these times where we could reconnect to something bigger and grander than our own little dramas. Periods and events where we can reset ourselves, replenish our stores, our hearts and minds, and redirect ourselves once again towards our true course in life. That's a little bit new age though, isn't it? Yet it's also precisely what every one of us would like, isn't it? It's why people go to health spas, or beach holidays, or hiking, or out on a bender even. We feel that we need to take stock and reorient ourselves. And Samhain, rather than being like, say, a health spa, a profit-orientated, market-driven, superficially therapeutic business enterprise, well, it's something else entirely. So what do we need at this time? What do we need? To focus on what matters really, to stop being distracted by what are actually largely irrelevant, to pan out and get a wider sense of who we really are. To remember that while outside all is busy and rushed and chaotic, there's also the counter, the alternative perspective, wherein we exist in a timeless internal realm in which we are energy, just that energy, some elemental state that is basic, but also infinite. We're consciousness currently inhabiting the physical body. That's all that's really known. And again, it sounds new age, but it's just what mankind has always believed. That there were other aspects to us that we didn't usually have access to. Yet, at one time of the year, we do have access. We can reach through the veil and make contact with a wider realm of that consciousness or awareness. And that time is now, Samhain. It seems that our ancestors regarded Samhain as the end of one year and the beginning of another, the equivalent of our New Year's Eve. In the same way, they believed that night preceded day, not the other way around, as we have it. The long hours of darkness gave way to the birth of dawn each morning. Samhain meant the beginning of a period of great darkness, with nature withering on the stalk, and the sun weakening, spending ever more time below the horizon in the underworld. Darkness grows more powerful as it eats up more of the day, and it's fueled and strengthened by having the sun captured in its underworld realm. So it becomes emboldened. And then the creatures from the underworld and the otherworld are able to access our world more easily. They creep in, especially at night. And a transition point like Samhain, which is neither summer nor winter, but in between, beyond time, is the perfect opportunity. So this is why now is such a valuable moment for us. The natural order of things is thrown into disarray in these between times. The world of the living and the dead become closer. They intermingle. The oppressive strictures of linear time are weakened, and we get access to insight and energies that we wouldn't normally have. This is why prophecy is such a key part of Samhain. What else is the ring in the barn blackbird except to prophesize who will get married? The time-space continuum is weaker, and we can peek through it so that you know that the beam in the barn brack predicts a single life, and the stick, if found by a man, means that he'll be a miserable old bachelor. An apple, pared into a single herring and dropped to the floor, revealed your future beloved in the initials spelled out by pen. So many ways to see the future. Girls used to enter cabbage patches and grab a cabbage each. If it had a bent stalk, she'd marry a hunched man. And if the stalk was straight, she'd marry a tall, well-poised man. Another trick involved placing 2 hazelnuts in the fire. The nuts would soon, if the stalk was straight, so she'd marry a tall, on a hot stalk like popcorn, it predicts the stroke and fall turned away. And if the stalk was straight, there's another game. Another through a rusty key placed over a pan of water, and the shape it congeals into in the water formed the initial of a future husband or wife. But it wasn't only being able to see into the future. Samhain was seen as a liminal time, and the boundary between this world and the other world could more easily be crossed. It was a threshold to which the fairies could more easily come into our world. This may seem fanciful enough, until we remember that the fairies are likely to have been remnants of the pagan gods and nature spirits who occupied the land for millennia. Being able to access them was a powerful and potent thing. It's why my grandmother used to leave a cloth kelm, a witch's plate of food, on the windowsill for the otherworldly beings, in case they got hungry while crossing into our world. Portions of the harvest crop would also be left on the ground for these otherworldly beings. Alongside these fairies were ghosts, ghouls, rukas, and shapeshifters. It's why we still today disguise ourselves as the dead or evil spirits and head out into the night roaming the roads, so that then, if we actually encountered another worldly being, then think we were them and pass our fire. was taught wise to offer these spirits food to Granny's hospitality, which is why you can still today turn up as a ghost on any doorstep in Ireland and be given free sweets and donuts. But remember, like Granny's plate, cloth Italian was specifically for Kyla, the most powerful force of all, the matriarchal spirit, the dark aspect, and the shadow side of the bright mother earth. It was possible for her to sneak across the barrier between worlds and history, which is why the witch is still such a central character. A monstrous ancient female goddess supposed to have created the landscape and unloosed the roads and taught some traditions are responsible. So what we do is package it up in the warmest to us, file it away under old folklore, give it to our kids as a myth and legend. I actually think it's quite valuable. For me, I feel lost in so much of this chaotic, alienating world. And as I race around trying to get through each day, I know that there is a grander vision, a more rooted, stable me who sees things differently, who isn't constantly reacting to each new stimulus, but has a plan and even some wisdom. And I know that if only I take the time to tune into it, I can reach through and get access to so much guidance and support and wisdom from deep inside or beyond. I'm not exactly sure where it is, but I know I can connect if I take the time to make the effort. And I find it enormously helpful. Our culture has built in these periods of the year to do this work, to set aside the claustrophobic narrowness of reality to imagine wider self. Let's not let the opportunities it offers us slip by. Race around trying to get through each day, I know that there is a grander vision, a more rooted, stable me who sees things differently, who isn't constantly reacting to each new stimulus, but has a plan and even some wisdom. And I know that if only I take the time to tune into it, I can reach through and get access to so much guidance and support and wisdom from deep inside or beyond. I'm not exactly sure where it is, but I know I can connect if I take the time and make the effort. And I find it enormously helpful. Our culture has built in these periods of the year to do this